Now let's go ahead and install the fresh filter, nice and clean, freshly oiled. Go ahead and seat that carefully. Now there is a little rubber O-ring that goes around the entire face of this. I went and made sure that was perfectly placed. The other important part is that this seats correctly. Okay, looks good to me. Let's go ahead and put the top of the box back on. Yep, that's nicely positioned. Now again, when you put the box back on, make sure all your sensor lines are out of the way, and we need to make sure our little air hook up there to the top of the box is out of the way. You know how the box positions, so very carefully and gently put it in place. You don't want to lose any of the screws, and it should just sit right down. Now it won't sit flat because the screw in the middle is what clamps the box into place. So don't think you got hooked up here or hung up at all. We need to get that middle screw finished first. So we're positioned nicely. Let's go ahead and fasten that one up. Again, it's a blind screw, so you just got to feel your way for the screw. There it is. Now if it won't go down initially right away, because you've got a new filter in there and the rubber's extremely soft, it may have slipped when you put the lid back on. So take the screwdriver back out, just gently lift it back up again. Make sure it's pushed forward. Yeah, this did slip. So we need to make sure that it stays forward. And we'll try again. It may take you a couple of tries, but be patient. There. Now don't over tighten that center screw, and for that matter any of the screws on the airbox. They're just self-tapping screws, they don't need a lot of stress, but you can see now that that was seated correctly through the air filter. We know the air filter sat correctly in its recess, it's pinned in place by that screw. Now the top of the airbox is tight. All I have to do now is screw all the screws around the airbox back to tight again. Remember, do not over tighten these, because if you do, they'll strip and just spin, and there's no way of fixing that. Just make sure they're very snug. Yeah, the screw head on that screw is a little rounded, so we'll go ahead and get the next size Phillips up. Now we need to reconnect. So our air hose goes back on the top of the box. There's that. Both relays need to be put back in position. There. And there. Our sensor needs to go back in and clip in. Pull back on it, that's tightly seated. And we're done. Now that all that's connected, we have one more bolt to put in, which secures the airbox to the frame itself. So we'll go ahead and put that into place. That's why I prefer the mallet, because this thing doesn't get in your way. Before you put the tank down, double check that you did everything visually and mentally. We tightened the middle screw to start. We secured all the screws around the airbox. We put our breather pipe back on the top of the airbox. Our relays are in place. Our sensors in place. We pull back, it's located firmly, and our airbox location bolt is firmly in place. Everything else is good. Very important with these particular bikes and some of the others, when you are lowering the tank, you want to watch what's happening with the fuel line. You want to make sure all your vent lines are on. Some could have popped off, and we actually can see that one popped off. So that's good. So we'll put that back on. Because sometimes when you lift the tank up, it's too far for the hose and it will literally just drop off. So our hoses are connected, our fuel line's not going to hit anything, the fuel pump wire is clear. We'll go ahead and drop the tank. Visual inspection like that, just taking a second, can save you all kinds of heartache, because if the fuel line gets pinched, your bike's going nowhere and you've got to take it all apart again. So take 2 seconds in this step to just carefully look at it before you put the tank down. All right, now let's put the GPR stabilizer back on. Lastly, we'll go ahead and put the seat on and our plastic side panels on the tank. And that should be it for putting the bike back together. So, now that our air filter is in, we need to go to the dyno to have it mapped. Especially in this case, as we have the new Leo Vinci full titanium system on the bike, we're going to make sure that we map it to get the best fuel air mixture and performance out of the motorcycle we can, as well as the best fuel economy. So, we hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that the instructions step by step were something that you can follow no problem. And as always, we thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Performance Upgrades.